Hey, welcome. I'm super excited to have you with me today because we're talking about a topic that is near and dear to me. Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt, like, has it ever been said to you or has it ever been implied that you were too much, that you needed to tone it down? Kind of like this, who do you think you are? If you ever have experienced that, whether it happened last week or 20 years ago, right, it can still sting. Right? And the reason I'm talking about this today is because most of my clients, first of all of my clients are powerhouses, but many of them have experienced what we're going to be talking about today, this kind of messaging, again, whether it was said directly or implied, this messaging that it is not okay to be you, regardless of the words that were used, right? The message is still, it is not okay to be you. And so why I'm talking about this topic is because I struggled with this when I first started my business. Thanks for the love, by the way. And hey, Katie, hey, Jordan, hey, Patricia, how are you? Jordan, check your PMs. I sent you a message. Hey, Larry, how are you? When I first started my business, I experienced this, and I thought it was just me. And I thought, okay, when I get to the next level, when I finally hit 6 figures, I'll get past this. No, I hit 6 figures, and it came up again. Then I was like, well, when I, get to $500,000, then I'll get past it. Nope, got there, and it kept coming back. And many of my clients, most of whom are multiple 6-figure business owners, experience the same thing. It's this feeling that you are too much. And when you feel like you're too much, it borderlines on what? Feeling like you're not enough, right? You're either too much or you're not enough. And what happens is you can start to shrink back. So you can achieve certain levels of success in your business, have accomplished big things, but noticing yourself starting to pull back, to shrink back, because you're still covering up this wound, this feeling that I'm not enough or I am too much, right? So I want to talk to you about that today. We're going to spend about 20 minutes talking about this topic because I want to share with you 3 reasons, number 1, why you need to stop this stuff and allow yourself to be all of who you are unapologetically. There are reasons for this, right? This is not just, some girl power type of stuff. There's a real reason for this that has a bigger impact outside of you, right? So we want to talk about that and what you can do to shift your experience, because this is not about blaming other people, right? We are responsible for how we choose to feel about what we experience, for how we choose to internalize what we experience, and for the reality we then continue to create, right? So we are totally responsible. This is not about, putting blame on anyone, even if others had malicious intent or did not, right? Even if you've had experiences like I've had experiences where you felt like people were throwing verbal jabs at you, they were constantly taking digs at you and all that kind of stuff, right? We need to be responsible for how we choose to respond versus react to those kind of situations. But I want to talk to you about what you can do for yourself, because that's, we are the center of control, right? We have power over how we respond or how we choose not to respond. So we're not going to talk about other people today. We may reference some of the experiences, but we're not going to deal with that because we don't have control over that. We have control over this, right? Like what's going on within ourselves, within our heads, and within our hearts, right? Okay. So my name is Desiree Stafford. If you've never been on one of my trainings before, welcome. I'm super excited to have you here. Essentially what I do is I help, powerhouses make a lot more money, the kind of money that that you're capable of, with a lot less effort. And we typically do that through high-end sales. So, how do you put together the offer? How do you, do the marketing? How do you, hold the sales calls and all the mindset that goes behind, selling offers anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000. So that's what I'm expert at. That's what I do. And if you know anyone who would benefit from watching this video here with you today or watching this live stream here with you today, please invite them. I know I'm supposed to tell you to click something. There's something that you can click on this live stream that'll let you follow me or get notified whenever I go live. Whatever that is, click it. It's somewhere around there. Because if you like the content today, which I'm sure you will get content out of my weekly live streams as well. So again, hey, Stacy. Hey, Gidget. Hey, Hind, how are you? Hey, Erica, how are you? Okay, cool. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, number 1, in order to give yourself permission to essentially turn it up, to give yourself permission to show up boldly, authentically, unapologetically as yourself, the first thing I would recommend to you is that you want to make a commitment to yourself. okay? A commitment to yourself to do those things, to show up in those ways, even if it feels scary, because I guarantee you it is going to feel scary, and it's not going to stop feeling scary, right? It may lessen in terms of intensity, but there will be more fear that you feel. And guess what? I always challenge people when they're saying to me that they're experiencing a lot of fear. I always challenge people to say, okay, fear is coming from, you know, the lower consciousness. So the part of you that is playing small. You will also typically find some excitement mixed in there, and that excitement is coming from your higher consciousness, the one that knows that you're ready to play a bigger game, right? So lean in more to the excitement. Let the fear be there. You don't have to stuff it down. Let it be there, but lean in more to the excitement, all right? Now, with that said, you want to make a commitment to yourself to be bold, to be unapologetic, to speak your truth, right? Because this is good for your fucking health, all right? We're going to talk bigger than money today, bigger than clients today. This is good for your health. If you have noticed, like I have noticed, there are many people in the world who are miserable, who are unhappy, and they bring that stink with them everywhere they go. Why do you think they're so unhappy? Because 99.9% of those people are not speaking their truth. Because we've been so conditioned to not really say what we feel, to smile, to grin and bear it, you know, that kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with you know, one of the things that I do is I make it a point to speak my truth. It's a commitment that I've made to myself. And at the same time, you know, how do I say this? I massage sometimes the way I say things, not to water it down, but I don't want to walk around being an asshole, right? There's some times when you can go straight to the point and say what you've got to say. And there are also times when you want to assess the situation and how you need to say things in a way that's going to be effective, meaning that the other person's going to be able to receive it. That doesn't mean that you take responsibility away from the other people, right? But you can be mindful of the way in which you say things, but that doesn't mean that you avoid telling your truth. Why is this so important, and how is this important to your health? And then we'll talk about how it's also important to your business and everything else. Because when you're unhappy, because when you're miserable, you're not going to get to live or to experience the life that you desire. You're just not going to, you're not going to get that, because even if you were to acquire all of the material things that you say that you want, you will still not be happy internally. You will still not be fulfilled, right? I think what most people are looking for when they're looking for financial success, what they're really looking for is the emotional freedom. A lot of people are looking for what we call fuck you money, right? So they don't have to, you know, tap dance for sales, or they don't have to tap dance around people. They can just get to show up and be authentically who they are. What I'm suggesting to you is that you do this, and then the money will come, right? And also you'll be in a much better mental, spiritual, and emotional state when you do this, when you allow yourself to be unapologetic about who you are, right? And again, this is not a pass to walk around and be a jackass, right? This is just saying you have to find the words in which to say, to express yourself, because if you don't express yourself, you will hold it in, right? And the longer you hold it in, number one, you'll be unhappy, but it can have devastating effects, you know, depression and a lot of other things that can occur when you are suppressing your voice. And I'm speaking to you from personal experience, okay? Because it was for a very long time, I didn't see a doctor about it, but I self-diagnosed myself as being functionally depressed because I was not speaking my truth, because I was just putting up with a lot of shit, because I was afraid. I was stuck in this place of fear. So I then had to make a commitment to myself to stop doing that, right? To stop suppressing my voice. Because I also recognized not only just like mentally and emotionally how it was impacting me, but it wasn't allowing me to go after and receive the big desires that I had, achieve the goals that I had set for myself, right? So you want to start, number one, with the commitment to yourself that you're going to allow yourself to show up unapologetically, right? The second thing is you want to make a commitment to being a better leader. The people that I have, you know, from observation, clients, colleagues, myself even, right? The people that I have noticed who I have observed to have had the most struggle with this, you know, toning it down thing, it's not okay really to be all of who you are, that kind of stuff, are typically people who have leadership qualities within them. They can be direct, they can be very assertive, they can be truth tellers, right? And oftentimes what has happened is they've gotten some type of negative feedback that it's not okay, right? And so they start to regress, they start to shrink back, they start to pull back. But you're a leader for a reason, because you're meant to fucking lead, right? Listen, you're meant to lead your clients. You're probably meant to have a bigger leadership role in your family. You're probably meant to have a bigger leadership role in your community, right? All of these kind of things. You are a natural born leader, so stop suppressing that, right? And the way that we suppress it is by what? By pulling back, by making ourselves small, because we don't want to offend, we don't want to trigger other people. But listen, we don't have control over how someone else is going to get triggered, right? Or how they're going to perceive our message. We don't have any control over that, because typically people, who are adults are still nursing wounds that they've had since they were 6, right? That's typically what's going on. So you have no way of knowing what's going to trigger someone. And instead of shrinking back out of fear of triggering other people, understand that triggering people can actually offer them the most benefit. Because if they're at a point where they're ready to grow, where they're ready to transcend that pain and that trauma or whatever it is that they're experiencing, you triggering them could actually save their life, right? It could actually be the wake-up call that they need to get the help and support that they need. But you cannot continue to suppress yourself, to show up less than, to water down your message, your voice, or whatever it is that you're doing in the world, because you don't want to trigger other people, right? Because the fact that they could be triggered by you could actually help them, right? That's number one. The second thing is, if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, if you're someone who's in the business of transformation, right? If you are not showing up as a leader, which means that you may be triggering people, guess what's going to happen on your sales calls? You're going to hold back. You're not going to tell people the truth that they need to hear so that they can face their fears, right? And then make the best informed decision for themselves. You're also not going to be able to do that in your coaching sessions with your clients, right? You're also probably not going to be able to do that in your personal relationships, whether you're married, whether you're dating, whether you have kids, whatever the case may be, right? So it's important that you make a commitment to being a leader in all of those areas of your life. And when you make that level of commitment, you have to speak the truth. You have to show up as yourself. You have to, right? Because people need that experience from you. So what I would recommend here is that you make this a daily practice. One of the things that I share, that I do for myself, and I also advise my clients to do, is every day I analyze my day. And when I analyze my day, I'm looking for the wins, even when it doesn't necessarily appear on the surface that I've experienced a win. I'm fucking looking for a win anyway, and I'm gonna find it, right? So I always analyze my day, and I'm looking for my wins, right? And I'm also, at the end of my day, looking for, did I do the things that challenged me? Did I do things that frightened me? Because when I'm doing those things, number one, I feel a lot more alive, even if I'm scared. But number two, I know that I'm growing, right? So if you find yourself in a position where you tend to shrink back, where you're not really saying what you want to say, maybe that is something that you want to analyze at the end of your day, right? And give yourself a fair assessment without judging yourself, without beating up on yourself, without shaming yourself. It's all feedback, right? And say, okay, well, did I challenge that prospect? And if I didn't challenge the prospect, what was that about for me? And what will I do different, right? Moving forward, what will I do tomorrow, right? This is very helpful in terms of you shifting or changing the conditioning that is keeping you where you are right now. Because if you continue to back away from your leadership, you will not attract the level of clients that you're meant to serve. At least you will not attract those clients consistently. And if you want to be successful, meaning not just financially successful, but you want to have clients who get amazing results, you have to be willing to do this kind of work. This is a kind of leadership that a high-level client needs. It's what they need. It's one of the reasons I think there are so many high achievers who are not getting the level of results that they could be getting in this marketplace, because there are too many people who are afraid to fucking lead, right? Too many people. I've had my own share of coaches and mentors who, were on the phone, and where I think they could challenge me more, they back down. I'm like, what kind of nonsense is this? I need to be challenged. I need to be called on my shit, because if not, I'm going to stay stuck doing the nonsense that's not getting me the results, right? We need more strong leaders in this industry. And if you know that you're a leader and you're backing up, right? Or you're, what's the word? You're punking out, right? When it's time to really show up and lead, that's a problem, right? That's a real problem. Okay, now the third thing that you can do to give yourself more permission to tone it up, to show up unapologetically, to be all of who you are, so that you do attract the right clients, so that you do make the money and impact that you're here to make, so that you do have the quality relationships that you want to have, all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. The third thing is you want to make sure you are getting yourself into a community that will support you. This is massive because, like I said earlier, 99.9% of people are too afraid to express their truth. And so when they're confronted by someone like you, who is a leader, who wants to express your truth, and who has the balls to do it, oftentimes you will experience pushback. They will throw those jabs. They will either directly say or imply that you're a bitch, that you're too much, that you need to tone it down, whatever the case may be, right? And if you get too much of that evidence, what will you do? You will continue to shrink back, right? And who is impacted negatively when that happens? Obviously you are impacted. Your clients are impacted. Anyone else who looks up to you is impacted. Could be your friends, could be, family, could be anyone, right? That's another thing. Sometimes we feel like we're in our own little silos, but you don't know who is watching you and who you are an inspiration for, right? You do not know. The numbers could be countless and you have no idea, right? So it's important that if you are a natural born leader, if you are here to make change in people's lives and you know that to be true for you, it's important that you get yourself into a community that is going to support you, okay? A community of other people who are as high powered as you. People who are not only truth seekers, but also truth tellers like you are. People who are also leaders like you are, right? You're going to need to surround yourself with those kind of people, because if you don't, it is far too easy for you to shrink back, because normal society doesn't really support who you're trying to be until you totally flip the script on yourself, meaning that you stand firmly in your power and you let other people's jabs or negative comments or whatever completely roll off your shoulder, right? Until you get to that place, you will be challenged, you will be criticized, right? And if you do not have people supporting you, it is very, very easy to slip back into that place of doubting yourself, second guessing yourself, right? Thinking it's not okay to be who you are, watering down your message. And let me tell you something, you water down your message enough, you will not attract the kind of clients that you want to be in business with, right? You won't. That's just how it will be. And if you're not attracting the kind of clients that you want to work with and that you can support, you won't make the kind of money that you're here to make. You won't make the impact that you're here to make. But it will also spill over into other areas of your life that will be impacted, right? Whether or not, when you go into a specific social environment, whether or not you're going to feel like it's not okay to be you in those environments as well. I've seen this at so many different levels. Please don't think that this is just something that people deal with when they're just getting started in business. I know people who've been in business. I personally have been in business for 11 years, not always as a coach. I had another business, but I think it's been about 11 years. And I've struggled with this shit for 11 fucking years. I mean, it doesn't have the same emotional pull on me as it used to, which is why I can have this conversation from this place with you today. But I'm telling you, when I didn't have any support and I wasn't talking to anybody about it, it kept me stuck in my business for a very, very, very long time. And it followed me then into my coaching business, okay? I have seen so many people who should already be running multiple seven-figure businesses not get there, not because they're not smart, not because they're not willing to put in the work, but because of this stuff that we're talking about today. So please don't think that it's something simple that you can continue to brush under the rug, because it is not, right? It's very important. So I hope you got a lot of value out of that. I am going to take some questions from you guys in just a moment. For those of you who would like some support, you want to go deeper on what we've talked about today, how you can overcome this kind of stuff, how you can also sell high-end programs with confidence and integrity, do that consistently, right? And work with the kind of clients who do light you up, then you're going to want to go to DesireeStafford.com/session to get yourself signed up for an opportunity to have a talk with me. Because what I would love to do is, we didn't really talk much about strategy here today, but I do talk about strategy a little bit in my breakthrough sessions, as well as the mindset stuff, right? Because obviously what I'm sharing with a group is high level stuff, right? Everything needs to be customized. You have a unique situation. You have something that you're dealing with that we may not be able to address publicly. So if you're going to want support around that, then you want to sign up for this free session with me. and we can chat about whatever's going on with you, what I see is possibly getting in the way, and what steps you need to take to get the results that you say that you want. All right, now I'm going to go back and welcome some of those that I have not welcomed and take your questions. All right, so let's see. All righty, so Katie says, having problems with my connection, so may have to listen later, but love what you're saying. Okay, good. I'm glad you can at least hear me, because I forgot again to plug in my my earpieces. So I'm glad you guys can hear me. Now, who has any questions? Questions while I'm here? You should have some, right? While you guys are formulating your questions, let me recap what you need to do in order to give yourself permission to tone it up. In order to give yourself permission to show up unapologetically as who you are. Number one, you want to make the commitment to yourself, right? Number two, you want to make the commitment to being a better leader, right? And number three, you want to make sure that you put yourself into a community that supports you, you know, and your big leader energy, because that's the reality. You're someone who has the kind of energy that can feel a little bit intimidating or threatening to other people. So you need to make sure that you are in an environment that helps you cultivate that instead of pushing it down, right? Because what often happens is people go into this space of, if you're constantly being told directly or indirectly that you're too much, or there's some element of not being enough, right? If you keep getting that message repeatedly over and over and over again, what can happen? You can judge yourself, right? You can feel ashamed of who you are, right? Even if you've accomplished like the most amazing things, you can still feel ashamed of who you are. You can feel embarrassed about your accomplishments, right? You can carry a lot of guilt because maybe you're succeeding faster or bigger than people in your social circle or in your peer group, right? So it is important that you get rid of all of that mental and emotional baggage, right? It's very important that you do that. And the fastest ways are what I just shared with you. Make the commitment to yourself to speak your truth, to not soften your voice, right? Make the commitment to yourself to be a better leader, not just for you, but also for your clients and everyone else who looks up to you, right? And then also make sure that you are in an environment that supports you being you. Because here's the thing, you know, I've talked already several times about what I see, right? I cannot tell you how many incredibly talented people come to me wanting my help. They've helped their clients get to $1 million plus businesses like that. And yet they still struggle because of the issues that we're talking about today. And that's heartbreaking, because these are people who could make such an impact, and they have the deep desire to do so. But because they haven't managed this aspect, it really holds them back. So from my observation, it is not about, you know, not having the ability to get your clients the results that you say you can get them. It is about your ability, number one, your awareness of, you know, the thoughts, the beliefs, the stories that are running the show for you, and then knowing what to do to eliminate them. So what I've shared with you today, make a commitment to yourself. Commit to being a better leader, getting in a community, right? That's the high level overview. That's not the specific how-to, right? And that's what you need to understand, because I think a lot of times what people will do is they'll come to like a training like this or anyone else's training, and they think, well, if I just get, you know, a couple of inspirational hits, that's all I need. No, it's not all you need. You literally need to, number one, be able to catch yourself when let's call them the offending thoughts or the limiting thoughts and beliefs and patterns are, what am I saying here? The limiting thoughts and behavioral patterns are stopping you. You need to be aware of that. You need to know what to do when that happens, and you need to be able to course correct when it happens, right? And without that kind of support, you can come and you can listen to all this stuff, and it can get you riled up, and you can be all excited, you know, for a day or two, or maybe even a week. And then what happens? Slowly but surely, if your environment has not changed, right? And your awareness in terms of being able to catch yourself in the moment when it's happening, if that hasn't changed, if you haven't broken the patterns, what do you think is going to happen? You will continue to experience this. And this is not to say that you cannot get results in your business, because obviously many of you are successful. You are getting results in your business. But if you are not getting the results that you know that you're capable of, and you are frustrated about that, and you also know you're experiencing what I've talked about today, guess what that tells you, right? Okay. So I'm going to wrap it up here unless anyone has any questions. Environment is so important. Absolutely, Hind. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up here. If any one of you would like some support from me directly, go to DesireeStafford.com/session to get yourself signed up for a free breakthrough session with me, because I would love nothing more than to help you move past this crap and make the money and make the impact and live the lifestyle that you're here to live. Cool? All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.